Hey, Cleaning Nation. This episode is a replay of one of our best podcasts. Everyone loves listening to this, so we thought we'd share it again in case some of you out there have not heard it. Hope you enjoy, and on to the show. What's up, Cleaning Nation? Lindsay here again. I've been posting a lot lately. We just got back from our events, but today I am joined by the fabulous Tracy Thompson. And we have a special episode today where it's it's something we covered at the event. Tracy covered, I should say. And we're going to cover the 5 clarity keys to crush your goals.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. So Tracy, when I think of trying to crush my goals, my brain immediately goes to like, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to get there? And you were telling me before we started, that's actually pretty backwards. Can you just dive into it and let's go through it?
Absolutely. Yes. So that is exactly, it's funny. That's how we tend to be wired, is we think of a goal that we want. And if you're out there, Clean Nation, right now, play along with us. Okay. So if you're not driving, if you're driving, do it later. But if you're not driving, write down one goal. Write down a goal for yourself. So it could be to get 10 new clients. It could be to generate $10,000 in revenue. It could be whatever, to hire 5 new people. I don't know. Does not matter here. Write it down. Okay, so you have to write the goal down first. Now, that's a little bit of a misnomer because we're going to talk about goal clarity here in a second, but do the best you can with what you got right now. What's your goal? The moment you write it down, most of us, our brain goes right to where you said, Lindsay, as well, okay, but how? How do I do that? How do I get this done? And we try to go straight into the strategy and the, that's when the monkey mind, the monkey brain starts to take over, because we get all chaotic in our thinking because there's so many different ways we could accomplish this, theoretically, this goal. And that's what happens when we go straight to the how. That is why the how is actually the 5th key. It's the last key. If you think about your goal being a box and it has 5 locks on it. Okay. You need 5 keys to unlock each one of those locks in sequence. And the how is last. It is last. I promise you, you're going to see this, right?
Yeah. That's like shocking to me. That is, maybe now I know why I'm having trouble achieving some goals.
It is so true, because when we focus too hard on the how, or, first, what happens is we get caught in the weeds, and our monkey mind will tell us, oh, well, you haven't figured out the how. You don't make this a goal yet. Don't set this as a goal yet. Don't start yet. You don't know enough. You haven't learned enough. You don't have blah, 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 right? Okay. That's a big reason why we put the how last. Okay. So what comes first?
Yeah, exactly. What comes first?
Okay, well, let's dive in. So the number 1 first key is what? What is your outcome? Not the process, but the outcome. So we're going to talk about this. This first key of clarity is, what is your intended optimal outcome? So let's say your goal is, this is one we were talking about earlier. A lot of people talk about this. Well, I want to build a client attraction funnel, or I want to put a marketing campaign out there to attract clients, new clients. That's what I want. I need more leads. I want to build a client attraction funnel. Okay. So that's what people say is their goal. And I then immediately start asking questions for clarity of what's the outcome they want at the end. So let's just say, for argument's sake, we're going to use building a client attraction funnel as an example. What would your outcome be? So how do you know that at the end of building this funnel, you've been successful? To what end? So we know that when people say, well, I want more clients, more, and I say that in air quotes, more clients. Well, that's not a goal. That's a nice idea, but it's not a goal yet. Why? Because it's not specific. There's no specific outcome. It needs to be measurable. It needs to be something that you can say, yes, okay, I specifically got that outcome intended. And the method is the funnel. The process is the funnel. It's not the actual goal. So let's say your goal was to, with this funnel, this client attraction funnel that you started off with saying is a goal, really what you want is you want to increase your client base by 10 clients a month. Let's say you're residential. You want to add 10 new clients a month. Mm-hmm. That's your end goal. Okay. That's your end goal. So the client attraction funnel, do you see how that is part of the process of how to get there, but that's not your ultimate goal. So quantify it, give it time. It's, as specific as you can be on that outcome, the better, because the number 2 key is right hand in hand with it. And you can't get number 2 without getting number 1 first, clarity. Mm-hmm. So number 2 is why. So if you have your outcome, why do you want to add 10 new clients a month? Why is that important? And I would argue you need to drill down even to the dollar amount. Like, what would that dollar amount be if you got 10 new clients a month? Is the average billing $350? Okay, then that's $3,500 a month in new revenue to your top line. Why is that important to you? And this is a big piece of clarity, right, Lindsay? We saw this at the event.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, you mentioned drilling down on numbers, but do you recommend like getting into the emotional aspect of it here too, of like what it would change, not just all the ways it could change your business, for your family? How far do you go with the why, I guess is my question.
The why should be the richest, deepest part of the whole goal setting process. Because, and that's really a perfect question, Lindsay, because without an emotional connection to your why, if it's all up here in your head, you're like, well, because I want to have a $500,000 business by the end of the year. Well, okay, why? All right. If it's just why, what is this going to mean to you? How is this going to change your life? Who is it going to impact? Why is this important? Get specific. And then what feelings are you going to feel when you accomplish this goal? When you get this outcome you say you want as a goal, how's it going to feel? How is it going to feel? Let's play with this a little bit. Let's say $3,500 a month in revenue. What's that going to mean to you in your business, in your life, in your family? Like, what is that going to feel like? So let's say you say, well, if I got $3,500 more a month in revenue, let's just do a quick calculation. That would be, by the 50-30-20 rule, would be $700 a month times 12. That'd be $8,400 profit this year, in the next year. Wow. And with $8,400, I can take my family on that vacation that I've been promising for a decade. And I haven't done it because I didn't have the money set aside. So I'm going to set aside $700 a month in profit because I've got $3,500 in revenue each month. And it's going to feel fantastic. I'm going to feel accomplished. We're going to have memories that are going to last forever with my family. My wife my husband's going to be just thrilled. We're going to get to go to the place we've always wanted to go, right? And you start painting this mental, emotional picture for yourself.
Ooh, that seems like one of the most important steps.
It is. It absolutely is. But do you see how you couldn't get there unless you had the proper clarity on the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so important to quantify, to break this down into measurable ways that you can point to and go, and here's why. Here's why that's so important. Here's who it's going to affect. Here's how it's going to impact the business and personal or whatever the case may be. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So those are the top 2 keys to clarity. So as we drill down, once you've got those 2, that's the majority. I would argue that even if you just had those 2, the rest would probably work itself out as you started taking action. But there are 3 other keys.
Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information, I just wish I could actually get it implemented, and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge, and we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon.
Okay. The next one is who? Who's involved? Who's going to be instrumental? Who do you need to learn from? Who do you need to elicit to help you? Who's the players? Who's going to be the players in accomplishing your goals? Because chances are pretty good, you're all business owners. Chances are pretty good it's not going to be just you. Sometimes it is. Some goals are the nature of goals are such that it's just you. But I would argue that almost always there's going to be another set of who people involved. So write down everyone you could think of. And even if that person, you don't have a name for that person, it's just an expert you need to go to, or a coach, or someone you need to learn from, write that down. Write that down. Maybe it's Google. The who is Google. I need to find out the collective wisdom from, this is where our group really shines. Mm-hmm. Our group is so awesome that they go to each other, not just to us as coaches, and their who is robust when it comes to that. Plus their team, plus all the people that they're hiring to support and so forth. So write down all the who's in Whoville that are going to help you.
Tracy, I might be jumping ahead, but I noticed at the event you had, when we did who, I think we did something like planning on when to get that person involved. Am I jumping ahead? Is that into the how?
It's a little bit of the how, but it is absolutely part of the next key. And the next key is when.
Okay.
When,
okay.
Right? When is your timelines? When are you going to start? When are you going to complete? Like, you need a target date. You want a target date, even if you don't hit that target date, a start date and a completion date. Okay. So at the very minimum. And then when, if there's other people, when do I bring them in? Just timeline. So the when, that may be in the past, may be part of your how, but I'm telling you, it's a different category. It's a different key. So if you plot this out in terms of when, you're way further down the tracks than you think you are. The how then becomes very easy. And that's the last key. The last key is how.
Finally onto the how. But I've noticed the how should be easier now, because I'm taking notes here and I'm
Yes.
looking at this and saying, wow, the how, there's so much clarity from the 4 previous steps that I don't feel like I'm going to get in the weeds as much at all. So yeah, let's dive, I guess, into the how. Like so we don't get back into the weeds or get overwhelmed.
Okay. So I teach the how with what I call the sandwich method. The sandwich method. And the sandwich method has two, like any sandwich, it has two end pieces, right? Two pieces of bread, the top and the bottom. Okay. So the top of the bread is the very first next step. And we were talking about clarity. We did an exercise around this at the event where I said to everyone, write down your very first step, and then write down the very last step, the very last thing that would need to be done for you to have it completed, your outcome to be complete. So how do you know when it's done? So you have to have the end in mind. What would be the very last thing? What would be the very first thing? Now, what's interesting is that most people don't think like that. They're like, I don't know. I'm too busy thinking about the middle, the messy middle, right? All the middle steps, the 50 million steps I have to do in between. But they don't get crystal clarity on what is the exact last step and what is the exact first step. So what I find is most people do things like this, Lindsay. So let's take our example, say client attraction funnel. And they go, okay, well, the first thing I need to do is run Facebook ads. Like, okay, that is not a step. Okay, that's a miniature project, right? That's not a step. So we break it down. So what's the very first? So, okay, all right. So you need to do a Facebook campaign. What would you need to do? Think about it, pretend and visualize yourself. Sit down at your desk and go, what would be the very first thing I would have to do? Well, I guess I would have to open a Facebook account.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Drill it down that hard, right?
And you go, I don't have a Facebook account right now. I don't. And then you go, oh, I don't know how to do that. So that's where we start to get fuzzy, right? We're like, I don't know how to do that. Well, guess what your first step is then? It's not to open a Facebook account. Your first step is to learn how to open a Facebook account. Do you see what I'm saying? So now we're getting down to it. We go, all right. So now we're sitting at our desk. We're visualizing ourselves doing this right now. See how it's like now we get clarity. Where do I need to go to learn how to open a Facebook account for ads? Well, if you're part of our team, part of our group, right, inside our clean profit method or next level or millionaire, you would probably go to us. We would probably go to the team, the coaches, the other group members and say, hey, we have someone amazing. His name is Callum, who's in our next level as part of our team, who teaches our members how to do these things. So they would go, oh, I would go on Callum's call and get that answer. That would be their very first step. Now, if you don't have a Callum, you're not in our group yet, you could say, well, I'm going to Google. Step number one, sit down at my desk, open my computer, Google how to set up a Facebook account. See, so that's why we get so overwhelmed with the how, because we're trying to think of the thousands of steps and and it's foggy and we don't know. And we get overwhelmed. And that's why, right? That's why we either procrastinate or we get stuck and we get stalled out.
Yeah. So I almost feel like I would be kind of, be honest, I feel like I'd be almost embarrassed to like write down, like Google this, but at least you have a plan. I mean,
you cannot take
your head.
Yes, you cannot take a step that you are unclear on. So what is this called? 5 keys to clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 5 clarity keys. You have to have clarity before you can take action. So hopefully all of you out there are playing along and you've written down your goal. You've at least taken your first swipe at clarity on the outcome and your why. And I'd love for you to all write down what's your first next step, the very, very first next step. And I want to challenge all of you today, take that step today. And it should be so micro, the steps should be so micro that there should be no reason that you couldn't take an immediate action today on that goal. Okay? So this is my throwdown, my challenge to all of you, that never, never, never leave the scene of a breakthrough or an aha without taking an action.
Right.
All right. And for some of you, perhaps that action has been, maybe you've been thinking about it. You've been listening to our podcast for a while. You've been listening to Mike for a bit, or maybe you're brand new, but you're thinking, you know what? I'd like some more help. I'd love a coach to help me. I want to get on the phone with somebody right now.
Yep.
This could be your number one first action. Could be, if that's something that you have been thinking about or you're now thinking about, you can do that. And Lindsay, I'd love for you to share with everyone how they might be able to take that step immediately.
Yeah, immediately. You can go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, TALK, and that will set you up with a link to get on the phone schedule a call with one of our awesome coaches that can help you get even more clarity on where you're at, where you want to go with your business and how to get there. And they'll definitely go over the 5 what, why, who, when, and how naturally. Yes, that's the great thing about our coaches.
In fact, our coaches are experts at the 5 clarity keys. They are going to help you get very clear on exactly what you want, what you need, and what the action steps are. So I want to encourage all of you, whether that's the action you take today or you take your own action, that you do something now. Don't wait. Don't sit on it. This is what makes the difference between somebody who runs and grows a successful business and somebody who just stays stagnant, or God forbid, goes out of business because they weren't willing to get outside their comfort zone and take that step. So that's it, Lindsay. We're done.
That's it. Thank you so much, Tracy. I have like all these notes. I'm like, this was so good. I missed your speech at the event on this. So I'm so excited we could cover this today. And that's all we got, Cleaning Nation. Until next time, we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.